Okay, we're live.
Wonderful. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are.
Or when you're watching.
Yes, true, too.
So, yeah, we're just going to go straight into the dream. Let's begin in that way. Michelle offered me a really beautiful invitation right before we began, and that was, what could it look like or be like for us to actually drop into a dream space together? So you can imagine this almost like a little bit of a meditation or an awakening of something that is already part of you and in your experience right now. So let's simply begin. Okay.
Mhm.
So I invite you to just close your eyes or settle into a space of presence. So it's okay if you can't close your eyes. I just really invite you to drop into this moment. For me, the way that I begin that process is by really settling into the earth. So I feel almost immediately connected when I focus on my hips and my lower body and this like sensation of downward movement. And then the earth rises up to meet me. It's held. I am held. And so I invite you to come into this space of connection and presence, because what we're going to be tapping into or tuning into, almost like a frequency on a radio, is something that requires attention. And so often in our experience, we're distracted. There's so much distraction around us. We're pulled in many different directions. And so I invite you to tune into a dream. And this is a shared dream. This is a dream that is calling you forward and yet has roots or anchors or tethers to the past. This is a dream of remembering. This is a dream of revolutionizing. And this is a dream of what it means to come together in a different way. Come together in a way that feels so true to you, so innate, that it's almost like it's already happened, because it has. A desire to be together, to support one another, to remember the village. The village being our co-created space. We have this really special experience that's coming up in August that's going to help you drop even deeper into this dream and to actually live it, to actually be in it in a mystic way, in a magical and transformative way. And so one of the pieces I'd like you to feel into as the dream starts to get awakened in your space is that the dream sees the beginnings of this call forward into remembering actually began centuries ago, millennia ago. In the moment that, I couldn't piece it. As I started to feel into the moment, there are too many to even count. So you can imagine some of the moments for you. So perhaps there's moments in your past experience, in this lived experience, where you felt separation, where you felt disconnect. Maybe there's moments in past lives or soul space, in our collective soul space, where you've remembered a belonging. What it is to both long for that deep connection and to touch it, to know it, to know that you are it. And maybe there are pieces that are outside of your physical being and even this soul space that feel really anchored in the physical. So maybe there are times in history, maybe there are experiences or actions of other people that have contributed to this sense of disconnect or this desire for belonging and remembering. And I invite you to also tune into the dream seeds of revolution. So what does it mean to transform? What does it mean to revolutionize something? What does it mean to be in an experience that feels out of alignment with who you are and what you know is possible? What is coming through you and seeking to be known or shared or experienced in a different way?
And if you're still listening, if you're
Mm,
still here with us now, what would it be like to take a deep breath in?
mm,
And as you inhale, allow that to be a symbol of your saying yes to remembering,
mm,
saying yes to taking the next few minutes to stop what you're doing, to break, even for just a moment, that cycle of autopilot that tells you you can't stop. That pattern of perpetuation into that forward motion. I have to, I should be, I must, I don't have a choice.
mm,
What is it for you in this moment to resist that pull and slow down, connect to your breath, and choose to imagine, to proceed as though it's possible that that memory exists within your DNA?
mm,
And as Carolyn was speaking, I noticed my hands were rubbing my thighs and I began to sway back and forth as though I was moving with the momentum of her words that were bringing me back in time and space. So maybe you want to touch your body to be in this physical vessel that holds your spirit, that holds the memories.
mm.
And as though you're rubbing yourself like that magic lamp, going back in time and space and allowing the memories in your bones, the ones passed on to you by your old ones, to bring you back into the feet, into the earth. And say, maybe if I lean in the way that I'm leaning into the screen, maybe you could lean in to the remembering
Mm,
that the stories we're speaking about are still at play in the roots of that which sustains us and feeds us now. Because when we say remembering the village, yes, we're talking about shared chores and the way that we eat together and the way that we work together, the way that we rise to meet the sun, the way that we build collective. Yes, we're talking about that. And we're talking about something that goes way back, further than farming, further than agriculture, further and beyond the temples that we now see. We're talking about the stories of mysticism, the maps that kept our old ones alive, the ones that nourished and nurtured them, because once upon a time, long before we could even conceptualize as possible, this existed as a way of being. And my mind, the one in modern times, struggles to find the words to articulate that this is how I want to walk this particular journey on this earth at this time. Because how could it be so? How does it fit? Where does it belong?
mm,
How do we proceed as though these stories and tales and ceremonies and ways of being together have matter and meaning and weight? What does that mean in a world where it's the grind?
mm,
Can't stop, won't stop mentality of more of that forward motion. Where does this way of slowing down to remember and contemplating and wonder the possibilities that these ancient ones were real
mm,
and that they've been beneath the soil waiting for us to tend to them? And what if it's that so much of modern times has forgotten that there's only a few of us who are willing to hold the possibility that this is asking for us to remember? Because remembering is step one. Once you remember, you say yes to tending to it,
Mm.
the way you might a child or an elderly,
Mm.
the way in which we say it's our responsibility to make sure this has a good life. And
Mm.
it starts by incorporating it into our days, into the way, like we spoke to, the way we rise and the way that we fall to sleep, the way that we gather together. And so take a deep breath in, because if you've made it this far, even if you
Mm.
don't understand in your mind what it is we're speaking of, there's something that exists in your being, your blood, your bones, your spirit, your breath, your dance, your rhythm, your medicine,
Mhm.
your role in the village that has kept you here this long. And so we're speaking to that part of you,
Mm.
because that's the essence of you that Carolyn and I have been shown that we want to nourish during our 4 days together.
Mm.
We want to provide you with tangible tools and experiences and possibilities for remembering something, for waking whatever it is that brought you to this gathering. We want to wake that up and show you there's a place for it.
Mm.
You're not whatever you're not a fool, you're not silly, you're not naive. um, but there is a wonder like essence of you that has been asked to hold these old ways. And we are so honored because we have been gifted the presence of incredible teachers, mentors, humans who have a depth of knowledge and experience to feed this container. And we'll be showcasing them over the next days and weeks on the event page and on the website, where together we're gonna come together to create, to build, to participate in what it is to remember. Some of the things you'll experience is listening to stories about
Mm.
culture making. You'll be given opportunity to gather in a collective way to experience collective dreaming.
Mhm.
We'll be
Mm.
making things with our hands and tasting them. We'll be picking medicine. We'll be singing songs. We'll be preparing food. We're going to be tending. So, what does that mean to come together in this way at these times when there's so many reasons why maybe you wouldn't?
Mhm.
Because there's other things that look like they're more fun or more exhilarating or more of something. And what we want to give you is less of that
Mhm.
and some quality substance that, if we're gifted by the ones watching us and holding us from beneath, that nourishes you in a way that perhaps you haven't got to experience before.
Mhm.
And that maybe it might waken something that says, that was good for me, and it was good for those who came before me. And if I proceed in this way as what we did together is possible, then it might be good for those who come after me too. That is the prayer and the wish that Carolyn and I have been setting for over a year. And we
Mhm.
would be so honored should you lean in and say yes to being a part of
Mm.
that remembering.
Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you for speaking to this. And what feels true to me is that to speak more to it would be a disservice to the dreaming. So I offer simply an invitation to tune in, to consider, to feel your way in and through. And obviously information exists, so you can ask. You can search it out. What could it mean for you to actually put in the effort that it takes to learn, to discover what this actually is? So if you feel that there's an ignition or a spark that exists because of this, now what? How do you learn more? Can you put in the effort? We've put in a lot of effort already. We've been tending to these dream seeds for quite some time. And so now, what about you? Are you ready? Are you willing? I feel good to close. Is there anything that you'd like to add, my love?
Yeah, one more invitation to take a deep breath in, to nourish whatever it is that has awakened in you in these last few moments together. And to look around wherever it is you find yourself. In this time, in this space. And can you see what might not be obviously there? Behind the constraints of the walls that you find yourself in. Or perhaps you're outside, in which case it's, can you see beyond the horizon of where your eyes can touch? Out the window. And can you lean in simply to possibility? That maybe those old ones, those wise ones, those mystics, maybe they put the veil around us for a reason. And maybe remembering the village is an opportunity to open our minds to what might be behind that, so that we can come together in wonder, to wonder about this life and what it is that we have been entrusted to care for together.
Thank you.
Beautiful Monday to you.